Remember when you had to spin a wheel to make a phone call? Rotating phones were common in every home in the 1970s. These days, however, they are merely sentimental ornaments. We've advanced from cumbersome dials to slick touchscreens. Come along as we examine 25 commonplace objects from the 1970s that are now totally out of style. You'll be shocked at how much has changed. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now back to the video. Imagine this. You're attempting to phone your pal in 1975. You approach a large plastic phone that is fixed to the wall. You begin spinning as your fingertips reach the rotary dial's well-known holes. As the dial rotates back into position, each number takes a time. No touchscreen, no speed dial, just perseverance and a steady hand. In those days, rotary phones were commonplace. They completed the task and were strong and dependable. However, they moved slowly. Making a mistaken phone call, that required a complete restart. Additionally, these phones just had one function: making calls. Forget about any sophisticated features. What if, however, you weren't at home? Public phone booths were the solution to that problem. Dispersed throughout towns and cities, these glass boxes served as a lifeline for mobile communication. After entering, you would shut the folding door and hope to have enough change to pay for your call. It was all we had, yet it was everything but private. In the present day, the transformation is astounding. In addition to the phone, our cell phones have taken the place of dozens of other devices. Your pocket contains a camera, calculator, calendar, music player, and map. These days, it's more than just making calls. We use a device that is smaller than the handset of a rotary phone to send emails, text, and video chat. Our interactions have entirely shifted as a result of this development. When you called someone in the 1970s, you were committing to a conversation. We can now leave a voicemail or send a brief SMS. Though in shorter spurts, our connections are stronger than ever. It has also altered our expectations. When was the last time you had to wait by the phone for a crucial call? We now anticipate prompt responses. Privacy has also advanced significantly. Many people shared party lines with their neighbors in the 1970s. You might be able to listen to someone else talk on the phone. These days, electronics are password protected and have end-to-end encryption. We're sharing more of our lives online than ever before. Yet our interactions are safer. Together, these adjustments result in significant time savings. According to studies, the average person saves around 2 hours each day thanks to modern communication technology. We would have used that time to find a payphone, wait for calls, or seek up numbers in phone books. At the same time that phones were becoming more intelligent, our music players were also changing. Imagine that you are going to play your favorite album in 1975. However, you're carefully lowering a needle onto a rotating disc in place of tapping a screen. If I told you that this once common routine will almost be rendered obsolete in a few decades, how would you respond? Vinyl records ruled the music industry in the 1970s. They controlled the market, making up over half of all music sales, so they weren't only well-liked. Their rich tone and the full record-playing experience made them incredibly popular. After carefully removing the black disc from its cover, you would set it on the turntable and observe its rotation. Part of the attraction was the warm crackling as the needle touched down. However, what if you wanted to travel with your music? 8-track tapes were the solution to that problem. Particularly for listening in your car, these awkward cartridges were a major thing. They were short-lived, however. They were becoming obsolete by the early 1980s when smaller, more adaptable cassette tapes took their place. The alterations continued, accelerating. CDs replaced cassettes, which at the time seemed to work like magic. No more fast-forwarding or rewinding tracks. With the advent of MP3s, we were able to store thousands of music on a device that was smaller than a cassette. And now, we have access to millions of tunes thanks to streaming services. It's not simply about our musical style. The way we listen to it has altered. You would sit down and listen to an entire record from beginning to end in the 1970s. Now, playlists are everything. We create our own unique soundtracks by combining music from various artists and genres. It has completely upended the music industry. Do you recall record stores? They were more than just stores. They were gathering places where fans of music would spend hours perusing and learning about new performers. Many of those tasks are now completed by algorithms, which recommend music to us based on our past listening preferences. Here's something to consider. The typical music lover may have owned up to 100 LPs in the 1970s. More than 70 million songs are currently available on streaming services. You could listen to that much music in a few lifetimes. Our living spaces changed drastically at the same time that our musical preferences changed. Do you recall the days when changing the channel required getting up and turning a dial? It was a totally different movie night in 1975. To obtain a clean image, you would assemble around a large television set and tinker with rabbit ear antennas. What are your alternatives for viewing? Quite restricted. Only 3 or 4 channels were available to the majority of households back then. Without a DVR or on-demand, you would have missed your favorite show for a period. Our evening plans revolved around TV schedules, and we hurried home to watch that essential show. Families gathered together and decided, or disagreed, what to watch, making it a communal experience. The VCR, however, was a game changer. Approximately 50% of American homes had one by the middle of the 1980s. Shows could now be recorded and viewed at a later time. We could see movies at home by renting them. It was groundbreaking. No more being constrained by the TV schedule or missing out. We learned to control how much time we spent watching. In the present day, the transformation is astounding. With countless options at our fingertips, streaming services have taken over. We now binge-watch entire seasons in a single weekend instead of waiting a week for a new episode. It's a completely new method of consuming content, not just more possibilities. However, TV is not the only way that home entertainment is changing. Do you recall Pong? In the 1970s, that straightforward tennis-like game was innovative. These days, virtual reality headsets allow us to enter whole different worlds. With experiences that surpass Hollywood blockbusters, gaming has grown from a specialized pastime to a multi-billion-dollar industry. Our interactions as friends and family have been significantly impacted by all of these developments. Family time spent watching TV was common in the 1970s. The experience was shared by everyone seated around the same screen. Family members watching various content on their own devices in the same room is a regular occurrence these days. Here is something to consider. The typical American watched television for roughly 3 hours every week in the 1970s. Right now, every day, we spend 3 to 4 hours consuming content. Our screen time has increased significantly. An even greater upheaval was taking place in American offices as our living rooms changed. What would you see if you were to walk into a business in 1975? You might be even more surprised by what you wouldn't see. Let's take a look back at the beginning of the computer era. Imagine a normal office setting, circa 1975. The rustle of papers and the repetitive clacking of typewriters fill the air. The walls are lined with file cabinets that are filled with documents and folders. For decades, this was the standard, but a significant shift was about to occur. Even easy activities took a long time back then. Are you typing a document? If you made a mistake, you had to start over or use sloppy correction fluid. Making a filing. It required physically organizing documents into cabinets in the hopes that you would locate them later. Estimates. You would grab a heavy calculator or adding machine. Everything was labor-intensive, sluggish, and prone to mistakes. However, things were about to change. Early adopters were discovering new possibilities as the personal computer revolution got underway. These early PCs were not at all easy to use. In order to do operations, users had to write particular commands into command line interfaces. Despite their intricacy, these devices started to revolutionize our workflow by providing previously unheard of speed and precision for text processing and computations. The progress was unrelenting and quick. As graphical user interfaces replaced command lines, more individuals were able to use computers. Portable laptops replaced bulky desktop computers. And now, our cell phones have more computing capability than the first personal computers could possibly have. Computers, however, have altered more than just our work lives. By providing students with access to a wealth of information resources, they transformed education. Local storefronts gave way to international online marketplaces, and shopping also changed. What about our social lives? The way we connect and communicate has been completely transformed by social media platforms. Both advantages and difficulties resulted from these adjustments. Positively, we've witnessed amazing gains in efficiency and productivity. Previously, time-consuming tasks can now be finished in a matter of minutes. More knowledge and opportunities are available to us than ever before. There is a flip side, though. Work and personal life have become more entwined due to the always-on mentality made possible by contemporary technology. We're more stressed, but we're also more connected. In the digital age, worries about security and privacy are quite real, and the constant barrage of information may be debilitating. Here's something startling to think about. In the 1970s, a sizable portion of the jobs that exist now just did not exist. Because of the enormous impact that computerization has had on our economy and culture, roles in data analysis, cybersecurity, and digital content creation are increasingly widespread.